Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing this industrial steampunk inspired hair and makeup tutorial. I got this cool nuts and bolts coming out of the face idea from Glam and Gore on YouTube, so check her out. This was for a contest that me and my mom entered for Halloween, which ends tomorrow at midnight. So go onto Instagram at premier_beauty and like this photo, and go to Facebook and search Premier Beauty and like these two photos, and I will also put the links in the description so you can go and click it and like them, which counts as a vote. Anyways, let's just get started. I'm going to start off with how I made the prosthetics for my face. You're going to need some nuts and washers and some copper wire. You're going to need a life cast of your face, some sponges, a spatula, cotton pads, cotton balls, liquid latex, and the cactus is optional. And you're also going to need some brushes and paints for later. So the first thing I did was take the cotton pad and I tore the thinner layer off and took the thicker piece, laid down latex on the area that I wanted to make the prosthetic, put that cotton pad down, layered more latex over it and flattened it out with a spatula, and then I put on my nuts and bolts and wires, and even I tore some tinfoil off and stuck those onto there. And then I used cotton balls and latex to build up a wall around the area to make it look like uplifting flesh. And then I used black and brown paints to paint over everything to make it look dirty and rusty. And then I painted over it with my foundation, but that didn't really matter in the end because I ended up layering over it with cotton and latex anyways.
What?
You ready?
I guess.
So what are we doing first?
Yeah.
So the first thing we did was spray my hair with some texturizing spray, and then we took a tiny little crimping iron, and here's my mom being extra, and we crimped my entire head with that. And it's really hard to see those tiny crimps, but in the end it gives your hair lots of texture and fullness. Mom, why are you shouting?
Okay, show me your party.
This is my party.
Tip down.
Now we're just taking the side section of my hair and we're separating that section into teeny tiny sections and tying them at the top. And this is the comb as well.
Crazy, you nerd.
Ow, Mom, that hurts so bad. I feel like I was getting burned.
You don't even know
It
what
looks
that's
really
like.
cool.
What would you know?
What should I hold?
it shows me putting it in my mouth.
That's
Grace! I'm talking about the elastic.
Set it up for me to say that. I would not hold up under torture.
When I'm feeling sad, I simply remember.
Okay, Mom, I don't want to get copyrighted.
And now we are just curling all of the remaining hair on my head.
The burns! Let's not talk about the burns, Mom! I'm sorry, I called you a fat hobbit, Mom. Yeah, we got it.
So now we are just texturizing my hair even more with some spray, and now she's taking the top parts of where those rubber bands are and she's teasing them with a comb. And then it's kind of hard for me to explain what's going on here, but she's basically taking all of my hair on the one side and just kind of twisting it and pinning it in different places. And this is the final hair outcome. I think it looks pretty freaking cool. I think it's freaking cool to have a hairstylist for Mom. I will put her Instagram in the link below, so make sure to go check out my mama. And let's get started with the makeup look. I am starting out with Milani's Shadow Eyes Pencil in Brown Deluxe, and I am placing that on mostly the center of my eyelid and blending that out kind of messily. Now I am taking the unzipped gold Lorac palette and I am taking the shade Unleashed and I'm packing that over the gold pencil that we just laid down on my lid, and I'm blending that out as well. This makes it super extra intense. And now I am taking the shade Unafraid and mostly putting that on the outer part of my lid and blending that into the gold and blending it upwards. Now I'm taking the shade Unwind and I'm putting that through my crease and blending it pretty messily. We don't want this to be like a super perfect look. We want it to look a little messy. So I'm just blending that through my crease and pretty high up onto my eyelid. Now I'm just taking more of that Unafraid shade and packing it more onto the outer edge of my eyelid. And I am also applying that shade into the inner third of my eyelids as well. Now I'm taking this loose pigment copper shade from NYX and I'm just placing that in between Unleashed and Unafraid and blending it out a little. And then I'm just doing one of my eyebrows because the other eyebrow is in fact covered by one of the prosthetics, so we will do that later. Now I'm taking my prosthetics and kind of just mapping out where they are going to lay with a lip pencil. And now I'm applying Vaseline to the front part of my eyebrow so that my hairs don't get ripped out of my face when I take my prosthetic off. So now I'm taking Mayron Spirit Gum and I'm putting that inside my outlines that I drew with my lip pencil. And then I am also putting the Spirit Gum onto the back of my prosthetics. And you want to wait until both of them get tacky before you lay them down on your face. Alright, now these edges are by no means perfect, so to try to remedy that, we are going to be taking some toilet paper and liquid latex, and I'm just laying down liquid latex with a sponge around the edges of the prosthetic, and I'm laying down some thin pieces of toilet paper and putting liquid latex back over them, and I'm just repeating this step around all of the edges of the prosthetics. Now I'm just taking a dark brown eyeshadow. You can use an eyeshadow, cream paint, alcohol, activated paints, whatever you have. And I'm just putting that down over the latex that we just applied. Make sure that your latex is dry because you don't want to ruin your brushes. Putting that brown base down first will help the foundation match your skin tone better. And now I'm just putting on my foundation over that. And now I'm taking the shade Unwind from the same Lorac palette, and I am placing that on the outer and inner portions of my lower lash line. And I'm just blending that shade out and down very messily. Now I'm using the same color Unleashed that we used on the lid earlier, and I'm placing that in the center of the brown eyeshadow that we just laid down, and I'm blending that downwards as well. And now I'm taking that same Milani shadow stick that we used earlier on the lid, and I am placing that in my waterline. And now I am finishing my eyebrow, and I had to kind of continue my eyebrow onto the prosthetic, but this helps the prosthetic blend into my face a bit more, so I found this very useful. Now I am taking a red cream paint, now I'm taking a red cream paint, and I am just stippling this along all of the edges of, not the edges, I'm sorry, like the edges that are lifting up. I'm stippling that around all of those edges to make it look very irritated, and make it look like your skin was just ripped open by a bunch of bolts and washers. Again, you can use eyeshadow, cream paints, water activated paints, alcohol paints, use whatever you have. And now I'm quickly just going over those edges of the cream paint with my foundation to try to blend it in with my skin a bit more. And then I'm using that Unafraid shade again and putting that on my lash line. And now is the fun part. I'm using Rigid Collodion. First, I'm using a little cream paint to sketch out a little scar coming down from my mouth, and then I'm using Rigid Collodion. I did about 4 or 5 layers of this, but I only showed one. And now I'm using the eyeshadow shade Unwind from the same Lorac palette, and I am just stippling that and smudging that all over my neck and my face to give myself a very dirty, rugged look. And then I think I forgot to film this, but I ended up putting a little bit of gold on my lips and a little bit of red cream paint in the center, but I just went over that with some brown eyeshadow to dirty it up. So now I'm taking that same copper loose pigment from NYX that we used earlier on the lids, and I'm taking this Mayron mixing liquid and mixing it together, and I'm just streaking that through the top part of my hair where the elastics are. I think this looks really cool. It almost looks like fireworks coming out. I don't know. It's really cool. I really like it. And now I'm doing the streaking thing, but I'm using the shade Unleashed from the Lorac palette. Now I am taking this black OCC lip tar and I'm just squeezing that into the insides of the prosthetic and having it drip out. I even made it drip out of my nose a little. This is kind of supposed to be like oil kind of coming out. I thought that was a cool effect. And I didn't film this either. I'm sorry, but I ended up putting like veins throughout my prosthetics to make it blend into my skin a bit more. And then I'm just putting on my lashes, and that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much, and don't forget to go vote.